based here in New York City, and this is 4x4. 4 things every Enneagram 4 needs to know on a specific topic, given by a 4. I relate with your pain and your exhaustion from being you, and that you're just probably tired from feeling all the emotions you feel. So this is the 5th part of my 5-part series on work, and we are talking about rest. How do we get that kind of rest we need after an exhausting week, month, year? Where do we go? What do we do for ourselves when we have given out, taken in, put our foot in our mouth, and also how do we reach out? Those are the 4 things I want to focus on. So 1, how do we take care of ourselves when we have given out a lot? How do we take care of ourselves when we have taken in a lot? How do we reach out, especially when we put our foot in our mouth? That's the 4 right there. So we have to use the Enneagram, and the Enneagram could be our ally in this. The Enneagram suggests for us 4s that envy is going to be a preoccupation in our life. And so we can get exhausted from our envy. We are also going to get exhausted from our emotions. We have a lot going on inside. And so that kind of turmoil in there could just tucker us out. Also, just quickly, let's look over the subtypes. We have the sexual subtype. They can be pretty feisty, pretty angry, pretty competitive. When they get hurt, they want to push back on the world. And they're pretty intense. I am one. I know. We buzz at a high frequency. And so when we're buzzing at that frequency, that could just exhaust us. What about you social types? Social types walk into a room and they notice everything that's going on. And they're trying to see how they fit in the group, how they jump into the herd and make themselves known and worthy. And they can deal with a lot of insecurity there. Now, of course, we all can, but the social 4s, that shame can be so loud and can get really exhausting. So how do you deal with it? Just want you guys to think about it when you think about your subtypes. Just try to get in your head, like what about your subtype actually makes you exhausted? Self-preservers. You go into hiding, into your cave to deal with your suffering. Now, of course, you deep down want to share it with others, but there's a part of you that suffers in silence, bears the weight, takes on the burden. So how can you get rest? Your rest might not look like going home. It might actually look like connecting with others. So we have this conflicted heart, and how do we anchor ourselves in the storm? I want you to be thinking about temporary rest, a day, a couple hours, or even long-term. What if it's a sabbatical? I just came back from Mexico. You might be a little jealous, but I was there for 5 weeks. And I went to this retreat center, and I was with some people who were really cool, and we drank good wine. There was a nice pool there. The weather was great, but I needed to get away. I needed to rest. I needed to find out how to fuel myself for the next part of my journey, whatever that looks like. Now, we are not good at tranquilizing ourselves in the trivial, as Kierkegaard says. The common person, the immediate man, he says, tranquilizes themselves in the trivial. 4s don't really do trivial well. We like to get in deep, get dirty, talk about the deep stuff. Again, awesome, but it can exhaust us. We also see the possibility in the world, and maybe it's too much for us. It's too much possibility. As I've said in the other 4 parts, that we have to narrow down sometimes our possibilities so that we can get the best out of ourselves. Ernest de Becker, in his book Denial of Death, which is one of my favorite books, kind of heavy read, says the self must be destroyed, brought down to nothing in order to self-transcend, to begin. Okay? The self must be destroyed. We have to be broken down. We have to get exhausted at times so that we can be reborn. This is the natural cycle of being born and dying. Crucified, resurrected. That reborn part of us, whatever it is, in whatever part of our life, whatever season, there has to be a regeneration, and that comes in rest. So this is where we face our flaws, kind of go back to the womb. I know for me, I'm wearing this sweater for a reason. I am exhausted. Might even see it in my eyes. I'm just tired. And that's why I wanted to do this when I was a bit tired, just to get into that empathetic place where you might be. And I put on this sweater. It's my buffalo sweater. You might see the buffalo over my right-hand shoulder. The buffalo is my spirit animal. My alter ego name is Buffalo Steel. More on that down the road, but when I want to relax in the apartment or just go for a walk, I might put on this sweater just to remind myself that this is some special time for me. And like the buffalo, I'm just gonna lay around, graze a little bit. When my social capital is expended, when my compassion is fatigued, I don't have it for people. When my psychic skin is calloused and I'm fired up, but I know I shouldn't be out in the world because my kindness capacity is diminished, I can sense that I'm getting emptied and I need to get restored. Now, I might actually isolate. I might pull back. I might reach out to friends and say, hey, can I hang out? And we have this other thing too, which is that we live in America. That is the dog that is always chasing us. America, it's coming after you, and it's saying, work, work, work. Get it done, push forward, don't slow down. And so we think at times to optimize, we have to be busy. The 4 is an improver. We find the serendipitous moments. We actually have more difficulty with order and form. We ride the wave of inspiration. And so that conflicted heart, because we aren't as ordered and formed, might feel that rest is weak, or laziness, or that we are wasting time, because we already are so hard on ourselves. The self-critic is so loud. And so I challenge you to take the rest and be conscious that your mind is going to want to beat yourself up in those moments. This is difficult terrain. We have a complicated relationship with rest. And so let's get into these 4 and dig deep. These 4 are, again, what we give out to the world exhausts us. What we're receiving or taking in, the emotional stuff that's going on around us that we are getting aware of, and it's hitting us. It's beating us up a little bit. 3, how do we reach out, grab on to those folks and the support that will be helpful? And also, how do we stick our foot in our mouth? How do we just screw up and then beat the crap out of ourselves? So let's get into number 1. So let's start right at the beginning with what we give out. What do we give to the world? Now, hopefully you're giving something to the world. I know for me, I started my practice 15 years ago, and it was slow moving. It took a while to get, an amount of clients that I needed to really live well. And also in the beginning, I didn't have the capacity to see the amount of people I see now. It's a lot of concentration in a week, a lot of focus, a lot of energy, a lot of empathy, a lot of care, a lot of fire that I have to have. And so in the beginning, it was a slow move towards the capacity I had to take on more clients and deal with that each week. My friend Paul calls me a sin eater. I take on the sins of folks and I carry that and I have to ingest it, and it has to then become sort of part of my life. So then how do I give that up? How do I let that go? I use this illustration, The Green Mile. So this is number 1, the movie. Tom Hanks plays an officer on death row, and this character, played by Michael Clark Duncan, who recently passed away, is this huge hulking man. And he has been committed to death, and that he was accused of killing 2 young girls. But he didn't do it. And he knows who did do it. Now, there's a sensitivity to him. There's a softness to him. He's somewhat slow-witted. He says, my name is John Coffee, only like the drink, but spelled different. And there's a love you instantly have for this guy as the character. Now, his great ability is to take physical pain away from people. So if he touches you in the right way and you are a good person, he can take that pain away. And so Tom Hanks has a problem with his groin area. He's having these difficulties passing his stones and his urine. And Michael Clark Duncan ends up grabbing him and taking the pain away. And it's these powerful moments, mystical moments, supernatural moments in the movie in which lights flicker and the supernatural enters into the scene. And what happens to John Coffey afterwards is he curls up on his bed and he stays there for the night, if not more than one night, almost to the point of passing away himself, because he's now ate that sin or ate that malady, that brokenness, that pain. And what happens is he ends up spitting out these demons, in a sense, these little flies that flutter off and disappear into the air. And that's what I experience at times. I need my Fridays, because I take off on Fridays. I need my Fridays to just let the sin come out of me. Let the pain come out of me. It's hard to take credit for what we do in this world. We are so hard on ourselves for it. But often we are taking in pain. We are giving out a lot to people. And so it is a courageous thing to take rest, because rest gives us the resources to have courage. It takes courage to rest so that we could have courage to go out into the world. And I think it's worth being ambitious about your rest. You might take a long rest, and that is okay, because you need it. Our spiritus rector, our guiding spirit, is inside of us. And it says often, fucking sit down. Take a break, dude. Slow it down. But we can be ignorant to that voice, that spirit. And then what has to happen? Forced rest, depression, self-incrimination, defeat, retreat. Because ultimately you will have to take the rest and it will catch up with you. So better to be proactive and preemptive. Do the work beforehand to spare yourself later. When drought comes, and we are prone to drought, we are prone to collapse because of how much emotion we have going on and how seriously we take the world and ourselves. But this is when we can be most vulnerable. So this is maturity. This is balance. And that is our virtue, balance. We have to find it. We have to find it. So we have to partialize our world, kind of make it smaller sometimes and get away. There's this person that said, character is the restrictive shaping of possibility. Like, we can get overwhelmed by the possibility too, and we want to do it all. We want to give out it all. It will exhaust us. So this is where we can better be a sniper, take care of the things that are ours, than be a machine gun all over the place. So be hard-headed about this. Protect and aid yourself. Protect your creative possibilities. And be revolutionary in your rest. Because the things that are most inspiring and powerful usually find us in rest. Our most creative projects, our best work is often found because we've rested first. So that is number one, the Green Mile. Use this as an illustration when you are giving out, that you are also taking something in that could be wearing you down, weighting you down, making you fetal, and sitting on your couch and not able to move. So let's get to number two. So if you are a 4, then you have FOMO, fear of missing out. You want to take it all in. Just absorb, absorb, absorb. We have to attend to our emotions because we are constantly absorbing. We are taking in. If one was about what we give out, now we'll talk about what we take in. We take in a lot, but we have no real clear, quantifiable metric to see what our resources are. But I want to get that image in your head to think about this during the day. Maybe take out your phone. I have an iPhone. On the right-hand corner, upper top, is a power bar. It's the same for video games. Think about video games. I don't play them anymore, but when I was young, I did. I played Zelda and Super Mario Brothers and Contra. Do you remember Contra? Up, up, down, down, left, right, BA, select, start. If you played video games in the 80s, you will know what I'm talking about. There is always a power bar in that upper right-hand corner. And so you can tell in a video game or with your phone when the power is diminishing. But we don't have that same ability, really. We can't just look at a power bar and say, hey, Drew, you're at 67%. You're optimized at 89% and 76%. You'll still be doing well. And it's a bit more of a passive experience. And so how do we get active and try to use that illustration, that image of a power bar? That we know when we're getting hit, just like in a video game, you're getting hit by a sword or a bullet, or a character swipes you and you lose a player. We don't have that. So there's this emotional buzzing and vibrating that's going on for fours at all times. We're always feeling and we're always aware of how other people are feeling. Like you social fours, you know when you walk into a room, you are picking up on so much emotional energy. Us sexual fours are picking up on the energy of the person we're communicating, that pair. The self-preserver is aware of both and often deciding not to totally engage in it, maybe go and take care of themselves. They probably serve themselves best. Now, what I think self-preservers have to watch out for is resting too much. But we have this energy suck, and we can get emotionally bloated. Whether that's a minor or macro overdose that happens, overdoses happen on emotion that we experience in the world. Might be your family. Family's a bit jacked up, so you're constantly having to deal with their emotions. Friends, coworkers. Tell me you are not picking up on all that emotion. It is diminishing your power bar. It's taking the percentage down. So we have this wide range of emotional experiences for us. We are the best at this, but it takes us out. What is it? Is it minor? Is it macro? Is it temporary? Or is this a consistent beating you down with emotion? Your family just constantly is wearing you out. Then the rest has to be more deliberate, more intensive, and you have to take care of yourself in a diversity of ways. Maybe that's therapy, maybe that's literal physical rest, maybe that's getting away. Ask yourself, because you know, it's in your core, what do I need? This is incubation season. You get to go away and get nurtured, even if it's in your apartment. Bring your energy under control. Click it in. This is where we find our majesty. It's not a word that we use very much, but I will use it later. The majesty, being tall and upright, but being rooted. Also, we compete, we contrast, we compare. That's what fours do. We are envious. We want it all. So we see it in other people and we want it. We compare ourselves. We contrast. We compete. And we are conflicted. Gauge that. How much resources is that taking from you? What percentage is it ticking you down, notching down on that upper right-hand corner of yourself? So that's the illustration number 2. We have to tame ourselves. And to tame ourselves, we have to have an internal power bar in our head and try to evaluate as much as we can how much energy is left. And if it's diminishing too much, we got to power up. We have to plug in. You have to find the way you can do that. Spend the day in bed. There is a Morrissey song called I Spent the Day in Bed. It is a shit song. It's one of his worsts. But the message is powerful. Spend the day in bed. And if he is a 4, which I think he is challenging you to do that every once in a while. To have disambition. To be slug-like. Just lay on the couch. Lay in the bed. Let's go on to number 3. So here's an image. maybe just a thought. Big mouth strikes again. What the heck do I mean by that? Well, I just gave you that Morrissey song. Here's another Morrissey song. Big mouth strikes again. And I've got no right to the human race is one of the lyrics. It's this idea that we are going to put our foot in our mouth. We're going to do it as fours. We take some risks emotionally. We take some risks socially. And we live life big. And we want to be seen. So we will often end up at the end of the day going, why did I do that? Why did I say that? And then the shame comes in. The shame kicks in, and it's like a tape that plays over and over and over again. One of my favorite shows is The First 48 on A&E. It is about the first 48 hours after a murder. It's a real life show. So they follow these homicide investigators. And the coolest moments in these shows, not that murder's cool, but how they catch certain criminals, is that they go around the neighborhood and they try to find any cameras that are around. You've seen this before. Does that camera work? Does that camera work? No, it doesn't work. Oh, we found this one at 7-Eleven and it works. And it caught the crime. It's usually a little blurry. It's usually not the perfect image of what happened. Same in our lives, is it not? We don't fully remember it well. What did we say? How did everybody experience it? But they play this thing over and over and over again to see what they can catch in the crime. You know we do that too, fours. Over and over again. We do not let things go well. And we feel the rejection will come, and come mightily. It will follow us, and it is appropriate. They should be mad at us. They should reject us. Shame, shame, shame on you. And aren't you exhausted by it? Aren't you hiding? Isn't there some need there? You might live a life filled with so much shame that it's just weighing you fucking down. It's heavy. Now, I have shame as a sexual for my anger. Social types, you might have shame because you don't fit in and you say the wrong thing and people aren't accepting you in the group. You self-preservers might have shame for being so discreet. Being away from it all. You know you should probably get into the game a little bit more, but you're withholding. And there's a little shame in there because you know that withholding isn't really helping you at times. We are redeemable. We aren't that deficient, guys. It's not that woeful. We aren't that inadequate and contaminated and alien. So we have to get back in the game. So when our big mouth strikes again, I'm going to challenge you to take the time you need to process a bit, but then get back in the game. Go apologize to who you need to apologize to, or ask, did I really screw things up? Or did I just perceive that? And get some reality injected into your arm. Damn it. Come on. The way we often step up is by stepping back. And that's okay, to just get a feel of what went down. And then have a relaxedness and an openness that makes us less of a burden. We don't get so high-strung about every situation, and we try to just learn from it so we don't retreat so much and hold our friends and our family hostage by this self-involved pain that we're putting ourselves through. Get over it. Let's get back into the game. All right? We're going to go on to 4. We're going to end this well. We're going to end this on a high note, guys. A few years back, I went to Mexico on a retreat. And it was really a unique time in my life where I was deciding whether I was going to keep going with a project that I was working on. So we're speaking about work, and I was drained. I was, in a sense, trying to forget the project by getting overly busy in my counseling work. Because the project was something I was so passionate about that it not coming to fruition was starting to wear me down. So I just shifted my energy to this other thing and drained myself there to the point where I just needed to get the heck away. So I did. And I was raw when I was there. And one of the leaders, who I came to really respect and at some level became a mentor to me, said, you have to be like the redwood. not like the oak. And so we talked a little bit because I did not know what the heck she was talking about. She essentially said that an oak tree can often stand on its own. It is a symbol of strength and power. The Nazis used the oak leaf to represent their power. And they put it on a lot of their flags, or there was symbolic oak leaves around that would just remind them of their power and their might. And she was like, I get it. You're strong. Cool. But the oak actually drops toxins into the ground to keep other things away from it. But the redwood, it takes its roots and it wraps around everything near it and every other root system around it. So what you'll see is redwoods all together. They're very close, but they're huge, these huge trees, hundreds of feet tall. But the reason they don't fall very easily, especially with bad weather, is because their root systems are so entwined. And they will wrap around anything under the ground, anything to hold them down and to spread them out. And their root systems can go out hundreds and hundreds of feet so that they can be majestic. Fours, you are seen and you are known. You do not have to try so damn hard. This was her point, that it is not a solitary battle. That if you reach out to those around you for support and let them impact you, you will thrive. This is what upper echelon leaders do. They take the elevator up with the folks that they want to be in the elevator with. So when we are tired, when we are feeling exhausted, we often have to use that imagery of the redwood and get our root systems out and connected to other root systems. It feels like slowing down because it's the work that isn't seen. It's underground. That's where the main work is done. Remember, in our humility, we are our true selves. Humility is about being your true self. It's not about being small or quiet. It's about the soil. Humus. That's where the word comes from. Soil. That's where we are planted. It's where we get our nutrients and vitamins. And that's where our root systems could spread out. So unfold in that way. This is not a solitary battle. It's the difference between having strength and might and majesty. To grow tall and yes, be seen, but also be seen for the simplicity of your work. So that is the fourth image. We have the green mile as the first image. We have that power bar as the second image. The third image is, shit, I already forgot it. What was it? Damn it. Big Mouth Strikes Again. Another Morrissey song. Gosh. Woo, I'm tired. And the fourth one is the redwood. Be the redwood. Now, one last piece for you folks who are reaching 40 or in your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. I have something to tell you. I'm going to do a piece on this entirely, but our libido starts slowing down. In a sense, we start slowing down in general. That is not necessarily bad. So I'm going to just leave you with these two quotes as you reckon with the natural slowdown that's happening for you. Because we have to acknowledge it. You younger folks, God bless you. You've got all the juice in the world. Us older folks, we can't drink as much, we can't do as much, but we are smarter and we have more wisdom. So here's what Carl Jung has to say about the libido, or in his mind, the libido is your will to move, your will to have that energy pushed out. He thought it was less sexual, the libido, than Freud did. And he said, in the first half of life, the libido's will is for growth. In the second half of life, it hints softly at first, and then audibly, at its will for death. Now that might freak you out. Yes, the ultimate death, but the death of our thought process that is ruminating on, oh, what did we do last night? It hints at death there too. It gets over that faster. It gets over things faster and moves on quicker emotionally. It helps us do that in our older age. So that should be helpful for you. That you can let the death of things fall into the ground and regenerate so that growth comes. Here is what Joseph Campbell had to say, and he's the writer of The Hero's Journey. If you ever can get the time and you haven't done so, understand the movements of the hero's journey. It is so true to life, and it will help you in your journey. And he says, the deeds of the hero in the second part of his personal cycle will be proportionate to the depth of his descent during the first. What? Heavy duty shit. Here we go again. The deeds of the hero in the second part of their personal cycle, second half of life, 40 on, will be proportionate to the depth of his descent during the first. Meaning, the heavy work you do in the first half, the trials, the tribulations, the liminal space that you get into, the more you have and you work through, actually the more productive you'll be in the second half of life, emotionally, in your work, and what you give to the world. So let that be just inspiring. This was an awesome time. I'm going to rest all day. I'm going to watch some movies. I'm going to just chill, maybe have a bourbon tonight. Hope you do something similar. It's great being with you. If you can subscribe, awesome. Hit that button that says bing bing whenever something new comes out. And I will keep on trying to throw out some more information for you guys. Have a good day, and I'll see you next time. As always, everything is yet to be done. Everything. Real good. Killing it.